Today, I'm going to be teaching you guys everything that I know about the best army in the game right now. I'm talking about this Root Rider army right here. My stats with this army just do not disappoint. I've only failed 3 times the entire August 2025 season so far, and I currently have a 64 triple streak in Legends League. That may sound crazy, but I'm 100% sure that you guys can do it too if you put in enough time to actually learn this army. Now, I have no idea how long this video is going to be, but I do know that I'm going to go in depth into the army, talk about some substitute equipment if you guys don't have some of the epics in this army, as well as some of the most common bases and how to tackle them, and some other tips and tricks along the way. So feel free to use the timestamps to skip to the part of the video that most applies to you. But without further ado, let's take a look at the army in more detail. So here is the army at question. Let's begin talking about the heroes and their equipment, as well as some substitutes for you guys. Starting with the Barbarian King, we have the Snake Bracelet and the Spiky Ball. The snakes are aiming to provide the king with a lot of tanking, and they do some nice damage when they jump over walls, where of course the king cannot reach. As well, if there's no splash in the area, the snakes can be so deadly to the defender. Then we have the Spiky Ball, which is kind of the best equipment on the king. There's not really any better options, and it provides a lot of high DPS in a short period of time, especially useful for pushing through the back end of the base. We have the Frosty then as the pet, being the best combo here with the equipment, and of course he did get the slight buff in the most recent update where he got 5 extra levels, giving him another Frosty Might. Now, if you don't have the Snake Bracelet, you can also get away with using the Earthquake Boots. However, I would recommend not using the Frosty if you have the Earthquake Boots, and instead using the Phoenix, because the King's going to have a lot less tanking as he doesn't have the snakes there, which means that he's going to be more prone to actually dying, whereas if you are using the Snake Bracelet, he's not going to go down as frequently, which is why we use the Frosty instead. Moving on to the Queen then, we have the Sneezy, the best Queen equipment in the game, with the Magic Mirror, the second best Queen equipment in the game, and the Giant, the best Queen equipment in the game. Also, the Sneezy is not a Queen equipment. I don't know why I said that. If you don't have the Magic Mirror, you can definitely use the Giant Arrow instead. And if you don't have the Giant, you can definitely use the Healer Puppet there. And if you don't have the Sneezy, I mean, you have a different choice of pets you could use. You could go with the the Unicorn. You could go with the Frosty if you're using the Earthquake Boots on the King. And yeah, that's all for the Queen. Moving on then to the Warden, we have the Diggy, which you have to use. We have the Raise Gem, you have to use it. And we have the Healing Tome, you have to use it. Moving on then to the RC, we have of course the Spirit Fox, another pet which is compulsory. You are going to need the Fox in this attack, as well as you are going to need the E-Boots to of course set the funnel. Now the Rocket Spear is by far the best other equipment that you can use. You guys will see why later into the video, but you could also get away with using the Haste Vial. And if you don't have the Haste Vial for some reason, you can definitely use the Hogs as well, although they won't be nearly as strong as the Rocket Spear. Now that all of the heroes are out of the way then, we can talk a little bit about the army. Starting with the troops, we have the 7 Super Barbs, which are kind of supporting your King and your Queen on the outside of the base, making sure that the roots are staying inside of the base, keeping that funnel nice and tight, and also doing some nice funneling, as I said, for the Root Riders. We have the Super Wall Breaker for the Queen and the King. If you want to push your King or Queen into the base, of course, that is how you're going to do it. We have the Balloons, which are going to tank for the healers. The healers are going to heal up the Root Riders. The Valks are going to provide some additional DPS with the Root Riders, especially under the Raise Gem. We have the 2 Ice Golems there, which of course are assisting on our entries, making sure that the defenses at the start of the attack are getting frozen up and are not, you're not getting overwhelmed right at the start. We have the Headhunters, of course, for heroes. The Apprentice Warden is boosting the health of the Root Riders. And then we have the 2 Witches, which is running around the outside of the base with the King. They do such incredible work. If you guys aren't using Witches with Root Riders, you definitely need to, because they are super strong. Then, of course, with the spells, we have the 5 Invis spells for the RC charge. Normally you're using all 5. You may have some leftovers which you can use later into the attack. We then have the Skelly spell, which is dual purpose, very flexible. You can use it to support the King and the Queen. You can use it to tank the monoliths, say, ricochet cannons. but its most important use in this army is triggering Invis towers, as we do not have any kind of giant arrow, which makes our life a little bit easier when we run into Invis towers. We have our first overgrowth. We do have 2 overgrowth spells, as you can see, and this overgrowth spell is to control the path of our root riders, as well as limiting the damage that they are taking at one point in time. The recall, of course, for the spirit charge, and the poison spell is, of course, for the CC troops, normally for the furnace that is in the CC. Moving on then finally to the CC, we have 3 balloons which are going to come out of the troop launcher, tanking for the healers, which are very important to keep alive. We then have the 2 minions. Again, they can tank red mines, but they're also just kind of there as filler in the CC. And then we have the 2 Yetis, which are super good on the back end and with the root riders, especially under the rage of the warden. And then, of course, we have the troop launcher, which is launching those balloons into the base. Most importantly, tanking bombs, red bombs, seeking air mines for our healers. But also they provide some nice tanking from the giants and the archers when they do get released. And finally, we have the freeze spell there, which is a very flexible spell which you can use pretty much anywhere. I'm sure you guys know how to use a freeze spell. So there we go, that was the army. I'm now going to show you guys 3 most common style of bases in Legends League which you are likely to run into. I'm going to show you guys how I'm attacking these bases every single time, and we're going to do some planning, show you the live replay, and give you some tips and tricks along the way. So let's get right into it. So I decided to scrap the whole planning aspect of this video. It was just a bit messy, and yeah, so we're just going to jump right into the replays. The first base we're going to look at me attack is the double rage box setup. Now, a lot of people think that this is the hardest base with this army because double rage, lots of damage, no eternal tome, very scary, but you're wrong. I always spirit walk right into the rage tower. There's never a lot of traps around this area. Normally the traps are around the monolith area, and with the ricochet cannon in this case. And of course, this base is trying to counter the Broom Witches more than Root Riders, because he has got 4 Wizard Towers in the Rage Towers, which is, you know, it's kind of like losing out on a bit of value there. But nonetheless, we go with the Spirit Walk and look at the value we got there. We've already taken down a lot of the scary damage. Now, the only defenses in this Rage Tower now are the Merge Cannon, or what's it called, the Multi-Cannon, and the Inferno Tower. I'm going with the Queen and the King. I'm trying to get the Queen here to wall break in and grab the Town Hall for me, which I think did work in the end. As of course, we do have the Super Dragon CC. I slightly missed the poison there, you may notice, so I had to freeze the dragon. I didn't want to take any risks, and that is what this attack's really all about. I'm not taking any risks. My best piece of advice for you guys is that it's a healing tome and not an eternal tome, which means that, of course, in an eternal tome you get 8 seconds of immunity, but on this attack you get 25 seconds of safety. So notice how early I'm popping my Warden ability here. I'm not using it the same as an Eternal Tome where I'd wait until my Root Riders are in a sticky situation. I'm not letting myself get into that situation, but I'm going with the Healing Tome, anticipating there will be a lot of damage and my Root Riders will need the support. So as you can see, the very scary Rage Tower that you guys talk about was not very scary whatsoever. Unfortunately, my RC is a little bit energetic, so she does go down. But you can see just how good this approach is. I've literally attacked this base so many times I can't even count anymore, and it's so easy because I've practiced it so much. But let's get into the next style of base. So the next style of base that we're going to take a look at is the ring double poison style of base. Again, unfortunately, this Gia FC guy has the wizard tower in the core there. You know, normally it might be a ring, on a ring base, it might normally be the hook tower, the town hall. This base is against Broom Witches. Sorry, I don't have any better replays, but we do have another ring base to show you guys later in the video. As you can see though, for this base, my main thing here is I just want to cut into this ring of defenses so that my Root Riders have a path either way. And there's no risk of them splitting or anything like that. The second thing that I was aiming for here was the poison tower. Now these things are key to get down, which brings me on to my next tip, being that poison towers and just any splash damage is the death of this strategy. Now, as you can see, I'm starting the Queen up, nice and out of the way. She's not in any range of any expos or anything like that. And that is my next piece of advice. make sure your queen, when you start her, is not in trouble right off the bat. I've done it many times where I've started my queen right into a ground expo, I lose her ability, and it's game over. And that leads me on to my next tip. You may have noticed, if you're observant, that I went into the town hall a second time. Normally the approach is pretty streamlined, so I'm trying to enter with my root riders into the town hall and get it down early. Now, what did I say 5 seconds ago? Splash damage is the death of this attack. So why do we go into the town hall? To get it out of the way early. It is the biggest threat, I'd say, for this strategy, which is why I'm normally trying to take it out nice and early. Now, as you can see, again, I'm using the same thing. It's an it's a healing tome, not an eternal tome. I anticipated the damage from the poison tower, pop my healing tome early, get my words mixed up. Pop my healing tome early, and of course that means that my root riders are really nice and healthy here. We have no hero abilities, unfortunately. And actually, you may have noticed there, my next piece of advice is do not try and hang on for the queen ability for too long. I always pop it the second there's some decent value and the giant isn't going to punch a wall somewhere. He may even assist the root riders. But let's get into the next style of base. So the next style of base then that we're going to take a look at is the double rage ring base. You may recognize this base, it's extremely common, and it's another base which is extremely easy. So with this base, not similar to the box base that I just showed you guys 2 attacks ago, with this attack I always aim for one of the 4 corners of the base. Now in this case, I'm literally going for the least populated corner, and of course I'm not expecting there to be a lot of base here for my RC, but the other important thing that I'm doing here is cutting the ring of defenses, as I said previously. So nonetheless, the RC is going into the base here, and she's cut the defenses so that we have a nice clean path either into the Crusher Mortar or into the Rage Tower. Now, traditionally, I do not enter directly into the Rage Tower after taking out one of the corners. I like to go into the other corner. But why didn't I do it in this situation? Well, that's simply because the Crusher Mortar is not something you want to go directly into in my experience. It can snipe the Warden, the Apprentice Warden, right at the start, which is why I opted to go into the Rage Tower. Again, not a better Reaper that I can show you guys. Now, remember what I told you guys 5 seconds ago, keep an eye on your queen at the start. Well, I messed that up and I let the Expo lock onto my queen. It forced a free spell, and it's a mistake that shouldn't have happened, but did happen. You can see I'm doing the same overgrowth spell. If you're observant in the last attack, I overgrowth the core building first, and then I overgrowth the back end defenses with the second overgrowth. In this case, I'm going to use my RC ability to snipe the town hall and go in and grab that for me. Notice the second overgrowth spell that I do is on the Rage Tower, the other Rage Tower, to try and diminish the value that Rage Tower can get by reducing the amount of defenses that the Rage Tower actually affects. I hope that makes sense, but as you can see, we were able to deal with the Scatter Shot, the Builder Hut, and the Ricochet Cannon there, where they were not raged up, as opposed to if I had waited and I had not overgrowth that area, they would have been raged up and the Rage Tower would have got a lot more value. As you can see, if I had a freeze spell right now, I would freeze the mortar thing, but it does, I think, snipe my Warden, right? Or, I don't know. But look, it's a 3-star. I have attacked this style of base 100 times as well. And really, it's all about practice makes perfect with this strategy. Most of these bases are just bases I've attacked before, and I know exactly what I'm doing. As you can see, if the Warden wasn't alive, if the Warden stayed alive, we've got a ton of stuff left over. So that's how you take down the Rage Ring bases. Let's look at the final style of base for today. Alright then, the final base we're going to look at is the Invis Rage style of base. I'm going to take a bit of time to explain my approach, so let's begin with where I'm spirit walking. The first thing I do is look at the position of the town hall. It's either on one side of the base or the other. Now in this case, it's slightly towards this side of the base, so I'm going to spirit walk on the opposite corner. I hope that makes sense. I'll explain it as we get into the attack, but that's where I'm going to spirit walk. Now with my first overgrowth spell, I am going to turn the game audio down, and with the first overgrowth spell, I'm going to overgrowth the entire core. Now the main thing you need to do here is save one Invis spell for the Rage Tower trigger. Invis spell, Skelly spell works just fine. And I think I've got the value that I need right there. I'm going to recall here. We're going to poison the furnace. I'm not going to pop the Invis tower yet. I want to give myself a big enough window to where I can turn back later into the attack. Hopefully these ice columns will start, yes. Coming towards, exactly. Okay, now at this point my root rider's getting closer. I'm going to trigger the Invis tower. Now, don't be worried if you're just starting out this attack and you struggle with this style of base. Literally don't worry, this is the hardest style of base by far. It took me until I got a 1-star in this base in Legends to actually want to learn how to attack this base, because it's so annoying that I don't even want to learn how to attack this thing. But I'm going to go with my vulnerability at this point. As I said, it's a healing tome, not an eternal tome, and I'm anticipating lots of damage as the overgrowth wears off in just a moment. Now, unfortunately, this base is quite annoying. We go with our overgrowth like this. This is so that we can deal with the core in sections. Now, apologies if my commentary isn't that good, because this is obviously a live attack. Going to pop my queen ability now. I think I already said that. Don't wait to pop your queen ability. Get that giant working as soon as he is going to be useful. Looks like my fox wants to die and runs right into the bomb there. But as you can see, this is a 3-star. And yeah, no problems at all. All the heroes alive. Everyone's healthy. So I hope this helps people, especially who are struggling on this base, already using this strategy. And I mean, that concludes the 4 base styles that I'm going to show you guys for today. Shout out to Printh for providing this FC so that I could do this attack live, because I didn't have any Invis Rage bases that I attacked recently. But let's get into the recap for today's video, as well as one final tip for you guys. Alright then, that was my guide for this Root Rider army right here. I hope that it does give you similar results to what results this army has given me. The key thing here is practice, practice, practice. On the first Legends Day, you may struggle. It takes some adaptation from normal Eternal Tome armies, but I'm sure over time you will improve, just as I have with this army. My final tip for you guys is to make use of some of my previous videos. If you didn't know, I timestamp all of my videos and I label each time with the different style of base. So say for example you were struggling with Invis Rage bases, you can go back on one of my previous videos, see how I attacked the base there, and try and do that for yourself. There is literally hundreds of attacks using this army, so if you're struggling on a specific base, I'm 100% sure it will be there for you guys, and you can just copy my approach on the base. And finally, thank you guys so much for 2,000 subscribers. We've been going for about 38 days now, and just to give back to some of the real ones who watched the video the whole way through, I'm going to be giving away a gold pass for you guys. All you have to do to enter is comment something in full caps. It could be like nice attack, nice video, whatever. You don't have to be subscribed, you don't have to like the video, but of course that will help me out. I will put all of the names in a wheel, then make a post on YouTube saying who the winner is, and I'll probably also cover it in one of my videos. Not sure when I'm going to draw it, but I will certainly draw it for you guys and make sure that at least somebody gets themselves a gold pass. So just going to say it one more time. Leave a comment, full caps lock, all uppercase letters in the comments, and you'll be entered. I think it'll be really funny, and it's also just a great way to give back to the people who do watch my whole videos, not just the first 5 seconds and click off. So thank you guys for your support as always, for hitting 2,000 subs, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.